All right, let's talk about something that trips up so many people. You're writing an email, you're in the middle of a sentence, and you just stop. Should you use apart from, aside from, or except for? They all sound so similar, right? Well, today we are going to solve that frustrating little language puzzle once and for all. So let's just dive right in with a classic example. Look at this sentence. I like all vegetables, and then that blank. Tomatoes. I mean, both apart from and except for seem to fit, don't they? But do they mean the exact same thing? Is one of them, better or more correct than the other? This is the kind of confusion we're going to clear up right now. Okay, so let's solve this thing. We're going to tackle these 3 tricky phrases one by one, step by step, so you can walk away from this feeling totally confident about using them. First up, we've got apart from. And I want you to think of this one as the flexible one. It's like the multi-tool of the group, because it can actually do 2 very different jobs. And here is the absolute key to understanding it. Apart from kind of has this dual identity. On one hand, it can mean you're excluding something, basically meaning except. But on the other hand, it can mean you're including something, as in addition to. So how do you know which one it is? Well, it all comes down to the context of the sentence. That's what tells you which job it's doing. Okay, let's circle back to our vegetable dilemma. I like all vegetables apart from tomatoes. See, in this case, it's a super clear example of exclusion. It means you like all the other vegetables, but not tomatoes. You're excluding them. But now, watch this. Look how the meaning completely flips here. Apart from being talented, she's also very kind. Now it's being used for inclusion. It means in addition to her talent, she's also kind. It's the exact same phrase, but it's doing the total opposite job. Pretty cool, right? Okay, on to our next phrase, aside from. And honestly, the easiest way to remember this one is to think of it as the American twin of apart from. They're super close relatives. You'll hear aside from a lot more in the US, but it's basically the same idea. And here's the really good news. If you just got a handle on apart from, guess what? You've already mastered aside from. Seriously, it works exactly the same way. Just like its twin, it does that double duty for both exclusion and inclusion. It's all about the context. So for example, I hardly watch any television aside from news and current affairs. Here, aside from is definitely doing the job of exclusion. The speaker is saying they watch pretty much only news and current affairs, and not the other stuff. And now, for the other meaning, aside from teaching, she also writes novels. You see, it's inclusion again. It means, in addition to teaching, she also writes. So for pretty much all practical purposes, you can think of apart from and aside from as these interchangeable workhorses. Just keep in the back of your mind that aside from is a little more common in the States. All right, and that brings us to our final phrase, except for. And this one is what I like to call the specialist. If the other 2 are flexible multi-tools, this one has only one job. That's it, just one. And that one job, it is exclusively for exclusion. There are no double meanings here. Its only purpose is to point out the one thing, the one exception that stops a bigger statement from being 100% true. This example makes it crystal clear. The room was empty except for a single chair. You see how that works? The statement, the room was empty, is almost true. And that little phrase, except for a single chair, pinpoints the one thing that ruins the perfect truth of the first part. It's pure, focused exclusion. Nothing else. Okay, we've looked at all 3 of them on their own. Now, for the big finale, let's put them all side by side. This is where it's all going to come together. Okay, this table right here, this is your ultimate cheat sheet. Seriously, screenshot this. You see apart from and aside from, they're your flexible twins. They can do both exclusion and inclusion. And remember, aside from is just a bit more common in American English. And then you have except for over here, the specialist. Its only job is exclusion, period. It's that simple. So now that you know the rules of the game, let's put this knowledge to work. We're going to look at a couple of really common mistakes so you can learn how to avoid them. Okay, here's a super common trap. Look at the incorrect sentence on the left. I speak 3 languages except for Spanish. That just doesn't work. Why? Because except for can only exclude things. If you mean that Spanish is one of the 3 languages you speak, then you need to include it.
and that's a job for our flexible friend apart from. I speak 3 languages apart from Spanish means, in addition to Spanish, I also speak 2 others. See the difference?
And here's another one. Everyone was there apart from, except for John. You see this sometimes. It's just redundant. You're using 2 phrases to do one job. Since this is a simple, clean case of exclusion, John is the only person who wasn't there, you should go with the specialist. Except for John is way stronger, clearer, and more direct.
And that's it. You've totally cracked the code. It really comes down to this simple idea. Apart from and aside from are your flexible tools. They can include or exclude. But except for, that's your precision instrument, your specialist, used only for exclusion. You've got this.
So you just took something that was probably a point of confusion and turned it into a point of confidence. Now that this puzzle is solved, what's next? What other tricky little part of the English language do you want us to tackle together? Let us know.